Welcome back to Blue Zone. Before Bubba Starling was a center fielder for the Kansas City Royals, he was a three-sport star at Gardner Edgerton High School. Gerald Van Reen was his high school baseball coach, now the athletic director at Mill Valley. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I know this has to be as special for you, probably as it was for Bubba, to see him make it to
I mean, it is special. I keep telling myself it's about him and the hard work he's put in, and you know, I think it takes a village, and I'm just part of the village.
And I think the great thing about this was he really wanted to share it with a lot of special people in his life. Can you just tell us a little bit about the story? Because you had an inkling maybe that this was going to happen before the rest of us knew. Can you just give us the background?
All right, so the night after, or the night of the AAA All-Star game, he sent me a text at 12:20, and he just said, "Hey, keep it quiet, but I'm super excited. I'm going to the show." I saw that the next morning, and then he called me the next day, and he said it's a dream of his to you know, invite the people that are the most important to him to that game, and he wants us to be in a suite. And you know, and then he said, well, if you don't have anything else to do, and of course, you know, I was already dropping everything, and I was going to be at that game regardless. But you know, that was a special moment to be included with his family, and you know, it just says a lot to Bubba, and you know, kind of how he feels about people in general.
What was that night like in that suite, watching him walk up to the plate and get the ovation that he got?
It was surreal. You know, I'm sitting in that suite with obviously his family, his Grandma Shirley, and I'm just watching her face and watching his mom and dad's face, and it was truly a special night.
For him to spend 8 years working towards that dream and finally making it come true with all the ups and downs that are baseball in general, let alone the pressure of being the hometown kid and being a #1 draft pick, what did that mean to him? Was it almost it's obviously a sense of accomplishment, but almost a bit of relief too, to say, hey, I made it, and I get to share it with all these special people?
Well, he hasn't said anything about that, but you know, I would imagine that on some level, you know, there is a sense of relief that he's made it. I think he understands too that there's still work to do to stay. Sure. But you know, for 8 years he's been battling injury. He's been you know, just grinding away, trying to get better every single day. And I think it's a testament to his will and his fortitude to set a goal and reach that goal.
I'm sure you saw him obviously through his high school career, and knowing the determination that he had, and just the way that he was able to handle the attention, even as a high school senior. I think I remember you saying you felt so much pressure throwing BP sometimes in front of big league scouts, let alone trying to hit and perform in front of those big league scouts.
Yeah. You know, it was a little bit remarkable when he was in high school, because you know that most people aren't equipped to handle that type of pressure. You know, and he always seemed to handle it well. I know on the inside maybe he was a little bit different than he was on the outside, but you know, I also think that in those 8 years that he's been able to work and to mature. And I think he's at a point in his career that he can handle that.
There was a lot of question on what sport he would pick, because, and you saw him, and you knew what a great baseball player he was. You watched him play football and know how good he was. How tough a decision was that for Bubba as he went down the stretch?
You know, I think it was difficult. Not every day you have a kid that can play 3 sports at the Division I level and probably play all 3 very, very well. You know, I think there was a lot of things that we won't even know about that went into that decision. You know, possibly longevity of a career, sure. Possibly health after a career. You know, lots of things, but you know, I think that he truly loved baseball. And in the end, I think baseball is what won out, obviously.
I've seen some local coaches tweet and retweet thoughts of, hey, Bubba Starling made it to the major leagues as a 3-sport star in high school. You don't see that really a lot with kids, especially at the level that he was at in all 3 of those sports. Will we see another Bubba Starling, you think, in our time here in the metro area?
You know, I hope so. It's become harder and harder to be a three-sport athlete, especially at the larger schools. You know, I know at Mill Valley we encourage kids to do as many sports as they can possibly do until somebody tells them they can't. You know, and we have that conversation with kids all the time when they say, "Hey, I'm gonna go to the weight room and I'm gonna focus on X sport." You know, we try to visit with them, and you know, I've got a couple pictures of Bubba in my office, and I just tell them, you know, "Hey, have you heard of this guy?" And most of them have. And I said, you know, he was a three-sport athlete, and he was pretty good at all of them.
There aren't many coaches that go through their high school career and have two big leaguers on their roster. John Means also played at Gardner-Edgerton with Bubba.
Yes.
There's a chance we'll see them both. Well, we'll see them both probably at Kauffman Stadium at some point later in the year. That for a coach, I can't imagine what that feeling must be like.
Well, it hasn't happened yet, but I do have my calendar marked. Late August, I think August 30, 31, September 1, the Orioles will be in town. I hope it works out that John's able to get on the mound that day, or one of those three games. And I've already told my wife I will be there to see that happen. So it'll be another special moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Coach, thank you very much for coming in and sharing your memories and your thoughts. It was just a stellar weekend, I think, for everybody in Kansas City.
Yep, thank you. You're welcome.
Coach, thank you. We'll be right back with more Blue Zone right after this here on Spectrum Sports.